Light heavyweight prospect Ty Flores. What's going on, Ty? How's life for you right now?
Going good, man. Fighting here like a week, 8 days, so on the weight cut, but just hanging out. Nothing crazy.
The last time we saw you in action was May of 2019. Why have you been sitting on the sidelines for so long?
Uh, Tough to get a fight, man. It's a pretty shallow weight class, and then I'm on a five-fight streak, so it's really tough to get matchups. A lot of guys. You know, I've had guys like be forced into it where it's like they say they'll want to, but then it's like they're turning it down. I've seen like screenshots of texts and stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of guys just kind of want that padded record. They don't really want the tough fight, so which is fine.
Throughout that time, you've had a lot of fights being discussed, but it just never came through.
Yeah, I think I had 5 fights this year fall
Wow.
through. I think it was literally like every single month this year. I was supposed to fight somebody, and like something happened, and then then the Contender series and everything got pushed back. Like we were supposed to fight in June, and then it got pushed back to August. So it's been a roller coaster for sure.
Wow. So it must have been very frustrating where a lot of these guys is just don't want to fight nobody when you need to fight to like move up to the next level.
Yeah, I mean it's super annoying. Like I come from the Midwest, where like a lot of guys will just like take any fight.
Mm.
And it's like I feel like that's kind of stupid. To some point, like you need to have somebody that's like, hey, you know, don't be fighting tomato cans the entire time, but like you got to fight it. Don't be saying yes to everybody either. But then you get some guys that like just don't ever want to say yes to anything. So like you need a good mix between the two. But yeah, man, it's been like super frustrating. I've trained the whole time and gotten a lot better, but actually getting something on the books, it's been terrible. I was ready to go all year. Anything short notice. I was even looking to do heavyweight. I didn't care, but who knows?
Well, the Contender series now is a big blessing for you because it's coming up in less than 2 weeks. And man, you're riding a 5-5 win streak. That's a positive, man. What do you think? What do you think has clicked for you throughout that time?
It's funny. So like I kicked this off, and then I had knee surgery. I had like a reoccurring injury on my knee, and I think it was just kind of like I don't know, something clicked. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't train, and then like, maybe that was it, just to be simple. Like I couldn't train, and then I really wanted to, and whatever it was. But I had knee surgery in November 2017,
Hmm.
and like I told them I wanted to fight by May, and like they thought that was crazy. But I fought in May, and then I fought in June, and then I fought again in November. So it was like 3 times in a year. But like I hit my recovery just like a champ, and just like it's new fire kind of lit up, and then since then I've won 4 more fights, and it's been great. I mean, the year off actually has been really good. I was actually a little worried about ring rust, like at the end of last year, maybe getting around that 6 month mark, but I actually feel better than I do, 6 months ago, just from the improvements I made and everything. Like quarantine was actually it's a good thing for me, training wise.
Yeah, with the training, you said that you made a lot of improvements. Where do you feel like you made the most improvements?
I would say like the striking and the footwork. Like it was really just a mental thing. Like I always, I know I've got. I mean, even the wrestling. If you look at my last fight, I think the first couple shots were kind of bad and like just not setting things up. And like I think it was just a mental thing maybe. I knew if I could fight the way in the gym, if I could fight in the cage the way I do in the gym, I could beat anybody. And I've just kind of made those adjustments. I think like it's just been so much sparring, I think, in the past year, and just like going through the headspace. Like I wasn't really a fast starter, and I think like that was the number one thing I worked on, just fixing that. Not coming out of the gate super slow, and then just being in the right headspace. It's just been like a mentality shift, and everything's just it's felt a lot smoother. It,
You competed for Shamrock FC predominantly. How has fighting for that promotion molded you throughout the years?
it's been good. I had a close relationship with Jesse and Rob. They run a pretty tight ship. It's production value's good. Everything runs, very well. And they give me tough matchups too. I fought in, while I was fighting for them, I fought for LFA a little bit, so I got to, fight out of town, fight some hometown guys in their hometown. Um, but it's been good. I always ask for like the tough fights. Like I said, I fought UFC vets there. Eric Murray was on a good little streak when I fought him. Um, so it's been good. You know what I mean? It's they wanted to build me up, of course, but they're giving me good matchups.
You got Dustin Jacoby coming up. He's another guy in Colorado. What are your thoughts on him and what he brings to the table?
It's actually funny. So he's from Colorado, but I think he like went to school somewhere in Illinois. So
Yeah.
he actually trained at I trained at Finney's, and he actually trained at Finney's I think back in the day. So it's kind of funny, and now we're both here. I mean, he's good, man. He's a veteran. He's fought. I don't know if anybody's been on the Contender Series where they fought the amount of promotions. I don't know if there's ever been a UFC vet. He's fought, I think Bellator, and I think a couple other promotions too, and obviously Glory. I mean, his striking's good. It's not anything I haven't seen before, especially the training partners that I have. But it's I don't know. I mean, I think he's on like definitely the back nine of his career, and it's kind of weird. He's trying to do MMA again. I don't know what was going on with kickboxing. I don't really follow it too much. But I mean, it's a different ballgame. He fought in the UFC like 10 years ago, and things have definitely changed a lot since then. The game has changed. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think he knows what I want to do, and I know what he wants to do. There's going to be no secrets. So
Now, with the training, and of course Jacoby is a striker. Who have you been working with at Team Elevation to get prepared for him?
So obviously, we work with the big guys. Like I've helped Curtis and Alistair out with their camps. I stay with Alistair. He when he has fights, he stays up at St. Mary's Glacier. It's outside of Denver in Idaho Springs, like 11,000 feet. I stayed with him before the Walt fights, and I'm actually going to go out there next weekend. I don't want to get readjusted to the elevation. It's literally like twice as tall as Denver up there, so I don't want to have to get reacclimated before. But working with him a lot. I mean, he's such a veteran, man. Just hearing things he has to say, him watching my rounds, he's good for everybody. But I've been working a lot with like Nick Rorick. He's an ex-UFC vet. He's real good. Zach Paga, he's making his pro debut actually for LFA this Friday. And then the big one is Anthony Adams. He's one of our guys. He's actually on the Contender Series. I think the 1st of September. I want to say he's an 85er, and he's just, man, like I'd say he's probably the most skilled guy in our team that's not in the UFC. I mean, he's a stud. I mean, his striking is just phenomenal. Wrestling, great. Jiu-jitsu is just awesome. If you can get him down, you can't hold him down. But working with him has been just improving my game. I mean, every single practice. So with those three guys, it's been great. Like I said, especially with Anthony Adams, he's a talent, man. He's something special.
Yeah, you mentioned Alistair. One of the probably the best strikers to ever put on 4-ounce gloves, and you're facing a striker. There's nobody else better to kind of critique, right, and give you tips on a striker from one of the best strikers ever.
Yeah. No, for sure, and he does. Even when it gets kind of annoying, where it's like, I want to tell you this, I tell you that, and it's just like you can't really argue with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you want to come up with an excuse for something. You know what I mean? But it's good, man. He's a good guy. We joke around a lot and give each other a lot of shit, but yeah, it's been good to be around him for sure. I mean, the whole room levels up. You know what I mean? Not just for me. It's just like having that guy in there.
Yeah, you have a broad spectrum of training partners. You got Adams, and you got Alistair, then you got Curtis, which are totally different styles, right? It's just there's nothing you can't prepare for.
No, I mean it's great. We have everything we need. It's cool. So like with Curtis, you have the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. With Alistair, you have the best striker. But I mean, if you watch their recent fights, I mean, Alistair's wrestling's good, man. Alistair's wrestling has gotten really good, especially from the clinch. And like when he gets on top of guys, like guys just don't get up. I mean, his hips are so heavy. And then you have Curtis too. Obviously, we know he's a good wrestler, but his striking's look really, really good. You know what I mean? We all know how hard Curtis is hit, and then we knocked out JDS. Like none of us were surprised, but if you see his evolution, it was great. Like they both like gotten so much better from each other. And I mean, with tons of other guys too. Like we had during quarantine, like we had towards the end when we were allowed to train and stuff, we had like a solid group of light heavyweights and heavyweights. So it's been great, man.
So how do you visualize this fight playing out? How do you visualize your contract-winning performance?
I mean, Dana wants to finish. I want to finish too. I just want to go out there and I just want to impose my will. You know what I mean? I mean, he's good. He's a veteran, but he's a bit older. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like the younger, hungrier guy. He's just kind of like doing this. I don't know if it's because I don't know. I haven't really look too much into his record. I don't know what's going on with Glory, if he's just kind of doing this on a whim. But like, I mean, I think they kind of toss him to the wolves with that. You know what I mean? Like this wrestler versus striker kind of thing. I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna take the center, and then I don't think that he's gonna be able to defend my takedowns. You know what I mean? I mean, I watched his last MMA fight, the King of Sparta one, and it was just kind of boring. You know what I mean? I mean, he fought Cody East, who just didn't really look that athletic, and he just kind of stood there, and like, that's not going to be me. I mean, I can go hard now for 5 whole rounds. I mean, I can wrestle for 5 rounds. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to put up with my pressure. You know I hit hard, especially when we get on the ground. You know, the last guy I fought, I broke his jaw. So, you know, like I said, I mean, he's old. He's had a lot of battles. You know what I mean? Like, all respect to him. But when it comes to that contract, I'm going to have to break him.
All right, one last thing before I let you go. You know, there's so many different types of competitors in this sport. When you think of yourself, do you feel like you're more of a martial artist or a prize fighter at this point in your career?
I would say definitely more of a fighter. You know what I mean? I mean, it just is what it is. Like, I love being alpha and doing manly things, and you know, I've said that forever. You know, it's kind of what draws me to the fighting, and like, I want to go out there. I'm not scared to bleed. I'm not scared to make the other guy bleed. You know, you got to have like that martial arts respect. You know what I mean? Like, before the fight, I'll be respectful. You know, after the fight, of course, I'll be respectful. Like, it's kind of a douchey thing if you're not respectful after a fight. You know, like, those guys suck. But you know, during the fight and going into it, like, my mentality is like, I want to break him. Like, there's not a lot of guys with that mentality anymore. You know what I mean? Like the Robbie Lawlers, you know, guys like that. Like, I think people forget that, like, it's a fight. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I talk to my teammates and they're like so into their diets and so into the training or this and that. It's like, dude, it's a fucking fight. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, or the strength and conditioning is so important to this or that. And it's like, sure, but at the end of the day, it's a fight. Like, this is what separates us from other sports. So, like, you know, I'm going in there and, you know, I'm going to impose my will, and then I'm definitely going to break him mentally. You know, and let's see if I can break him physically too.
When you see fighters hugging each other during the fight, you know, and like, you know, high-fiving each other, is that kind of weird? Do you think you would ever be doing something like that?
I have before with.
Oh, you have?
Boxing. Okay. Yeah, we had like a crazy fight where it was like, man, I was like super proud of me. That's how I knew. I mean, there's been a couple times in my fights where like I knew, like, I know I'm tough. You know what I mean? And I kind of hate those reminders. Like, I had one fight where they kicked off my win streak where my kneecap slid to the side of my knee. And I still finished the fight, and I finished the guy, and I won. But like, that's how I knew I was tough. It's the fight with Bogdanovic. It was like, if you watch like a minute or two in, I think I accidentally poked him in the eye. And that was when I was still cutting 85. So I cut from like 228 to 185. And so we had like a little break, and I was like, dude, fuck. Like, I'm like gassed already in the first round because of all that weight. But like, if you watch the fight, like, it's super high volume. Like, we never stopped, and it was just like a battle. Like, we're both bleeding and everywhere. So yeah, before the third round, you know, we hugged it out. Like, it was cool. Like, you know what I mean? But then we went right back to beating the shit out of each other. You know what I mean? That's just like that kind of like fight or switch. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, we can be beating the hell out of each other, trying to break each other's jaws, but as soon as that horn goes off, it's like, you know, it's all cool. It's all good. You know, I feel like that's you know, it's that mentality. You know what I mean? Like, it's a controlled aggression.
All right, well, August 4th, man, Contender Series, Las Vegas. This is going to be a crazy matchup. I feel like this stylistically, it works out well, even though it's a, you know, like a striker versus wrestler, you know, label that they have for it. But I don't know, man. It's just something about you guys that where you guys are at in your careers is just going to be a crazy, crazy battle.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to come back in MMA, and like, this is my big break for the big show. And yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I mean, yeah, I guess he fought MMA last year, but like, that was like, he jabbed the whole time. You know what I mean? He didn't even do anything. It's like, this is I'm gonna wrestle him. I'm gonna put him on his back. He knows exactly what's coming, and I'm not afraid to strike with him either. Like, I know I hit hard. I've been training with good strikers, so I mean, there's gonna be blood for sure. Probably some of mine, probably some of his, and it's really just gonna be whoever is more mentally tough. Like, you better knock me out because I'm not gonna stop coming. You know what I mean? I will drag him to the mat if I have to. You know, I'll beat him up standing, but like, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, this is I'm way more hungry than he is. Like, he's kind of had his thing. He got to the UFC. He had his whole thing with Glory, but like, this is my shot. This is everything I've been working for. So